All right, what's going on, folks? Welcome to another edition of WST Winners, Week 3 in the National Football League, presented by Coolbet. Andrew Paterson, about to be joined by JBM, Jake Bolin Moss, and Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. We'll lock in on our favorite 4 spread bets for the weekend. Try and continue some real hot picks on the prop table. Give you a survivor pick and put together a little touchdown parlay as well. First off, though, we'll get to a big win for Patty's Bills last night. But let's bring in the boys and get ready to try and fire off some winners. Fellas, how you feeling? Patty, I'll start with you. Probably pretty darn good, although that was closer than I think most people expected. And to be honest, I think that final score of a 10-point deficit really flattered the Bills. This was a bit of a white-knuckle ride in the fourth quarter for the Mafia.
Yeah, it really was. It started out, obviously, I think we talked about it. I want to actually get to that first. We talked about it on WST yesterday. They said you were going to really find out the gumption and the belief in Mike McDaniel and this Dolphins team. I think this is a team that's not ready to quit. I think we also have to give maybe the offense a little more credit. I mean, Tua was fine, but let's not forget, this is a pretty talented team on offense. They still have some studs out there. Waddle, Hill, A-Chain, this Ollie Gordon kid. I certainly like him as well. Just the defense played way better than they had played in the last couple of weeks. I think this team is still not a very good football team, but they're a team that's not ready to pack it in. I think next week against the Jets, that will kind of tell the fate of McDaniel. If they lose, he's done. They're over with. But from a Bills perspective, again, the everybody eats mantra certainly helps at times. But sometimes you want a guy just to shove everyone out of the buffet line, fill up their plate, and take over a game. Far too many drops, far too many passes that should have absolutely been catches in that third quarter. Some big moments, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not hitting the panic button. They got the job done against a very hungry Dolphins team. And I think this week 3, the hungry dog might actually be a little bit of a theme for a lot of these teams that are either winless or desperately need another win.
Jake, I was kind of stunned at how that game, went in the second half. And, the Bills just sort of got, I don't know, a little complacent, I would say, in the third quarter, and they didn't do a lot with their possessions. And then all of a sudden, the Dolphins are right back in that game. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure if that play by 92 where he falls into the punter, that was 21-all in the fourth quarter, and they were getting the football back. Yep. I mean, all bets were off if that play goes to the Dolphins and they get going. But Dolphins found a way to get in their own way, and the Bills walk away with a 10-point win.
Yeah, I mean, bonehead mistake there with the roughing the punter penalty that ended up with a Bills first down that led to the touchdown leading drive. I did have the Dolphins last night, so I'll pat myself on the back and say, these guys get paid to play football too. But, at one point I felt like we were staring down, the first big upset of the year. I mean, like you said, Huss, it was a tie game, 21-all. Dolphins were about to get the football back, and, they make that bad decision. Tua tries to lead the drive late there, and with about 3 minutes left, throws the interception, which I don't know what he's doing. He's struggling to see the linebackers right now in coverage. That was an ugly one from Tua. So, yeah, Bills find a way to get it done. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Listen, I think when it comes to the everybody eats stuff that Patty was talking about with the Bills, listen, being a Pats guy myself, for a lot of the years, it was spread the wealth around, trust in your back, trust in your defense. I think the Bills have that ability to do so. I mean, they were down Ed Oliver and Milano last night, still found a way to win. So, you'll take a divisional win every single time you get the opportunity. And I think the Bills are in a great spot here. I don't know if they kept showing their schedule in the next 6 or 7 weeks here. I think Patty'd probably agree. Bills are looking really good early in the season here.
Yeah, Jake, I want to talk about Oliver and Milano. I don't think you can understate their, them not being on the field certainly it was the presence or lack thereof presence was felt. 10 for 15 on third down for the Dolphins. It just seems like that Bills defense could not get off the field. And, 2 game wreckers like Oliver, your best pass rusher. And then, of course, Milano, who's probably your best linebacker. Not having those guys on third down certainly didn't help. Bill's got to find a way to manufacture some pressure on the quarterback. Their schedule, Jake, you're totally right. It is very easy upcoming. But when they play some of the top teams in the NFL, if you can't get some pressure on the quarterback, they're going to make you pay. That's something that Sean McDermott and this defense are going to have to work on in the upcoming weeks, especially against some lower level teams. Not only do you need that to beat teams, but this is the time where you can really expose some weaker teams by getting to the quarterback.
All right. Well, just looking back at last week, we did very well on the props. I think we were 5-1 total, if I'm not mistaken. The spread picks not so well. We got absolutely hosed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are on the list.
Yep.
And listen, it obviously hampered our parlay. I wasn't too upset to see Denver throw up all over themselves and somehow lose a game that they had won against the Indianapolis Colts, but it did hit both you guys. And then, of course, Dallas winning narrowly didn't cover. So it's time to get back in the win column, boys. We've got 2 weeks. I think this is where we start seeing the board a little more clearly. Folks, if you haven't seen the show before, we're going to get into our best 4 picks against the spread each. And then we'll dive into some props that we like and some guys to get into the end zone. But Pat, considering your connection is so good right now, why don't we lead off with you? Let's get your first 2 spread picks for week 3 in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's buzzing right now. We'll see what happens in about 20 minutes. If you hear a loud bang, it's me throwing my laptop against the wall. But I like to start with the 2 because they're the 2 that I like the best. The rest, I'll be honest, this was a tricky board for me to see. Week 1, dug into the analysis, dug into a lot of trends from last year, what teams expected. Week 2 went purely off 5s. Both weeks went terribly for me, so kind of did a little bit of a mix for both. But the team that I told you guys at the start of the year with our futures show, the team I'm chugging this powder blue Kool-Aid is the LA Chargers. They're 2-0. They're 2-0 against the spread. They're going up against a Denver Broncos team in division that they've had their number in the last couple of years. And I think they're just the better team. I think they're the better team. I think when you look at what they've been able to do with the Chargers, they hold Mahomes and the Chiefs just to 21 points in that opener. And then they hold the Raiders just to 3 field goals. This defense is absolutely elite. And when Herbert is healthy, he's proven that maybe he's the guy that we've kind of all been expecting for him to be. Chargers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games dating back to last year. In fact, they're 14-4-1 against the spread since Jim Harbaugh took over this team. Nobody in the NFL has cashed more tickets than the LA Superchargers. On the flip side, the Broncos are 1-5 in their last 6. They lost 2 to the Chargers last year. So I'm going with the better team. I'm going with the better team to win at home. And for them just to have to win by a field goal, give me the Chargers -2.5. My second pick here is the Green Bay Packers -8 against the Browns. Matt LaFleur, 17-6 against the spread in September, including 8-1 against the spread in true road games. They're 17-3 against the spread in their first 3 games of the season, dating back all the way to 2019. Not even going to talk about the Browns because I think when you look at the eye test for the Browns, they probably deserve a better fate in their first 2 games, but they're at a breaking point. If they go 0-3, and I think they're going to get really exposed against this great Packers defense. Unfortunately, I hate betting these big numbers, especially early on in the year. But I just think the Packers are on a completely another level here. And I'm going with the trend of Mr. September, Matty LaFleur to cover the spread, the big number at -8.
Love it. It's actually good news on this one as we go to it. The line's actually moved to 7.5 at Coolbet.
Oh,
so
I like it even better.
There you go, Patty. You get there's some good things happening right off the bat. So Pat's in with the Chargers at -2.5 and the Packers at -7.5. Jake, where do you want to start off with your first 2 picks against the spread for week 3?
Yeah, Huss, listen, get ready to plug your nose, bring your gas mask, bring your dark sunglasses for this one. It's ugly. It's stinky. I'm starting off with the Carolina Panthers +5. This one's been bouncing around 4.5, 5. I think it was 5.5 earlier in the week. But 3 of my favorite words in betting: divisional home dogs. I think the Panthers are starting to find something. Last week, Ted McMillan goes for 100 yards on 6 receptions. Hunter Renfrow goes for 7 receptions on 9 targets, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. And, they fought back in that game against Arizona. I think they recovered an onside kick. And, had to drive late to damn near try and win the football game. Would have been a big upset, probably for some survivor pools against Arizona. So, I look at the Panther side of things. I think, starting to bring some stuff together. McMillan's only in his, second, third game of his career here. Bryce is going to figure it out, hopefully. And I just need him to keep it inside this number at 5. The other thing is Atlanta. So last week I was on Atlanta against the Vikings. They end up winning outright as 3.5-point underdogs on the road on that Sunday nighter. I think this is a very similar situation the Vikings were in last week. Atlanta picks up a big win on the road in Minnesota. I think this is a spot for a letdown. And I don't think Atlanta necessarily is going to lose this game, but I think it's one of those games where, Carolina keeps it close, a team in the division. They got to show some more life, right? Like you can't show that the Carolina Panthers are giving up in week 3, even though they're 0-2. So I'm going to jump on the Panthers at +5. And then I'm going to go to probably my favorite bet of the week, because teams that are 0-2 rarely make the playoffs if they go 0-3. We're in a must-win spot for this team. And a team that, has shown some promise but hasn't shown quite enough, especially in the last, this season, early on, and the last season. The Houston Texans +1.5. I think it's gut check time for the Texans. I mentioned that 0-3 teams struggle to make the playoffs. Just 2.4% of teams made the playoffs after starting a season 0-3 since 1990. So not even 3% of teams are making the playoffs at 0-3. A team that starts 1-2, the number jumps up to almost 25%. So it's a big jump if you're 1-2 versus 0-3. I don't think the Texans can afford to go 0-3, especially with the Colts starting well in that division. The Jags are starting decent. I think this is kind of like, it's crazy because it's week 3, but this is similar to like a season on the line play for the Texans. I think they got to find a way to win this divisional game. So give me Houston +1.5.
All right. So taking some points with the Panthers and the Texans. Obviously, that's why they make point spreads, folks, because a lot of people probably aren't lining up. Although, listen, Houston is a short dog. If you do like Houston on the money line, you're getting +106 as opposed to taking the couple points. But I think in this case, definitely take the points because this could be a very, very close game. All right, I'm going to go to a couple different games. And listen, I'm going to back producer Connor's Niners in this game. I'm actually surprised that this number is still where it is right now at 2.5 over the Arizona Cardinals. Now, there is some concern that Brock Purdy might not play, although he's been in practice for the last couple days. And as Rabchak mentioned to us before we went on the air, both of them did media together. So, listen, divisional game, they could be playing coy. I do think the Niners are a much better team than the Cardinals, although we have seen these games be tight. But we're talking about a team that's at home and only getting 2.5 points. On a neutral field, all things being equal, I'm taking the Niners over the Cardinals in almost all cases, especially when you look what's happened to the Arizona defense. They could be down their top 5 cornerbacks on the depth chart, which basically means that Jawan Jennings is going to be covered by a guy that was driving Uber on Tuesday night. They are literally picking guys up off the street. Whether it's Mac Jones or preferably Brock Purdy, I do think the Niners are going to have their way offensively, and it'll be a matter of the defense stepping up and taking care of business. This is just too short of a line for me not to jump on San Francisco at -2.5. I would expect this game to be a 3 or 3.5 by the time it kicks off. So I'm feeling good about getting in right now on the Niners -2.5. Now, you speak of 0-2 teams at a crossroads. I am afraid that the Chicago Bears went into their crossroads in the fourth quarter of week 1, took their turn, and there's no looking back. It has been a tough start for Ben Johnson in his new home of Chicago, and so much of this revolves around the quarterback position and the questions in and around Caleb Williams. Now, maybe the Dallas Cowboys are just what the doctor ordered for the Bears offense. I can tell you one thing. I think Dak Prescott's going to be ready to go off again like he did last week against the New York Giants. Now, this game is in Chicago. The Cowboys now, who are originally 1.5-point underdogs, are 1-point favorites. And listen, I'm with everyone that has been plugging their nickel down on the Dallas Cowboys right here, because to me, the Bears are a team that are just simply unbackable right now. And listen, the Dallas Cowboys, with that win last week in a pretty impressive fashion, coming back against the Giants, have an opportunity to get to 2-1 and sort of hang around in this NFC East as they adjust to life without Micah Parsons. Prop-wise, I think you can make some money on Dak and CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys offensive juggernauts. But to me, Dallas just a better team right now, and certainly if we're talking about quarterbacks, Dak Prescott in another league than Caleb Williams. So I'm locking in the Cowboys -1, along with the Niners -2.5 for the first two picks against the spread. All right, we've got two more each to go. Let's keep on running around the horn. Patty, picks 3 and 4 for you as we get to our continue our spread picks.
I'll be quick with both of them because they're a game each that you guys picked as well. Cowboys, I totally agree. I don't know how this spread isn't bigger. I know it's in Chicago. I know Cowboys just got by the skin of their teeth by a Giants a team that maybe some people were really high on, but others still think they're a bottom feeder. On the flip side, this Bears team, like, on what planet have they proven at all outside of their first scripted drive of the season that this is a team that can knock off or even, hang around with a Cowboys offense that can put up this many points? So I'm taking this Cowboys team as well. And then I'm going to ride with Jake with the Texans as well. I just think they're far too good of a team. And I called them frauds last week. Like, I'm probably going to be kicking myself in the ass come Monday morning after this pick. I called them frauds, but just because they're frauds doesn't mean that they should be better than an 0-3 start. Their season shouldn't be done in week 3. They're better than that. I still don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I really probably don't even know if they are a playoff team, but they're a team that should be eliminated from the playoffs in week 3. So I'll go with those two picks to wrap up my spread.
Beautiful. So Patty is locked in. Chargers -2.5. Packers -7.5, Dallas -1, Houston +1.5. Jake, you are already on the board with the Panthers +5 and the Texans. Who you got for 3 and 4?
Yeah, listen, boys, Dallas wasn't on my card, but I do like them if we want to get an early add to the parlay there. I think Dallas money line's a great spot to start. Huss, one of the games you already mentioned, I'm on the Niners with you at -2.5. I'm just not sold on the Cardinals. Like, who have they played? The Saints, the Panthers. They barely squeak by the Panthers. They win by a touchdown against New Orleans. It's not like they've had any major competition. You've mentioned already that, they're down 5 cornerbacks, which is pretty insane. And I think regardless of the health of the 49ers, I just trust in Kyle Shanahan a bit more than this Cardinals team. And at 2.5, that's a great football number, Huss. We talk about this all the time. If this was 3.5, I might not be as inclined to take them, but at 2.5 with either Mac Jones or Brock Purdy this week, I'm going to put my faith in the Niners at home against the Cardinals in a divisional game. So I'm with you there. And then the last one is real stinky. This is the one that I've been holding on to. I texted you guys about earlier. The New York Jets +6.5.
Yes.
Our boy Tyrod Taylor likely to make the start for New York with Justin Fields injured. And everyone seems to forget that Tyrod Taylor is a covering machine. 33-21-4 against the spread, 61% clip in his career, 58 starts, and as an underdog, 21-12-3 against the spread. Part of this is obviously the Jets got blown out in week 2 against the Bills. And I think this is maybe a little bit of an overreaction. I know Tyrod Taylor's the backup, but he's a serviceable backup. They still have some weapons there. And, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And, what have the Bucs really shown to make them almost a touchdown favorite? They win a tight one against Atlanta. That game almost went to overtime with the Younghoe Koo miss with the clock expiring. And then last week, they needed a touchdown drive from Baker to beat the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. So, they've played 2 tight games so far. I think the Jets simplify it a little bit, assuming it's going to be Tyrod starting. And they find a way to keep this one close. So at 6.5, I thought it was just too many points. And I know how stinky and ugly and gross it is, but I just couldn't shy away from the New York Jets. So yeah, give me the Jets plus 6.5.
Yeah, that one might be a tough sell for the partner parlay, but
that's fine. I'm fine to keep that one off. I'm fine to keep that one off.
I'd love that pick if it was Fields. But you're right. Tyrod, does have a history of, just hanging in there. I mean, this is the reason why he's been such a durable quarterback that's always has a job, because he is competitive when he gets into games. All right. This is now I locked in my picks last night, and this line has moved very slightly, but listen, I'll just get to it. I'm taking the Rams at Philly. Now, I locked this in last night at plus 3.5 at minus 118, knowing that line might move a little bit. It's minus 122 right now, usually past our normal threshold of where we're making our picks right now. I mean, if you do want to get it at 3, it's even money. Bet it accordingly. The bottom line with this one is I still haven't forgot how close the Rams were to beating the Eagles last year in the playoffs. And I think the Rams have looked really good so far. And Matt Stafford, after spending the entire duration of training camp seemingly in a hyperbaric chamber, has come out ready to go. And listen, Devontae Adams can play. And certainly you got Puka Nacua there, Kyron Williams. I mean, this is a team that is going to be a handful for the Philly defense. And listen, I was at Arrowhead last week. I mean, full marks to the Eagles for getting it done. That was a B, maybe a C game for the Eagles. I mean, the Chiefs are up against it. They don't have any of the weapons that they normally need. That's not going to be the case with the Rams. So for me, I think Philly is still far off their level that they'd need to take care of a team by margin that's as good as LA. I think this is really going to be a tight game. I could see the Rams winning this game outright, to be honest with you. So when I was able to get the hook, I jumped on it. As I said, right now, if you're going to go 3.5, you're going to pay a slight bit more at minus 122, or you can take the 3 points and get even money. And again, the Rams plus 153 on the money line if you really want to get aggressive. But Rams with the points in Philly against the Eagles. And we'll see what happens with the Eagles at home taking on a opponent that I think is primed to make a statement in the NFC that they are there and ready to go, which brings us to my final pick. Now, I have been considering Carolina at plus 5. Jake, I'm with you on this one. I think 2 divisional teams. I think Carolina did not have a great start to the year. That goes without saying. I think they've got a lot more, but I'll leave that one off. We can consider that one potentially for a parlay. The most fascinating game to me is this Bengals-Vikings game. And this should have been one of the marquee games of the weekend. And then Joe Burrow got hurt, and then J.J. McCarthy stunk and got hurt. And now we've got Jake Browning leading the Bengals into the dome to take on the Wentz wagon. Now, Jake Browning can move this offense. He also threw 3 picks last week. And I kind of do think that this Viking defense is going to be up for the challenge. My concern on the Viking side of things is entirely at the quarterback position. And not only is Wentz, a concern at the best of times, he wasn't even in training camp. Like, they had Sam Howell when they traded him. They literally got Wentz in the last week of camp because it's been all about J.J. McCarthy. And I thought that was dangerous then, and it's really seeming like it is now going into this. I think the Minnesota Vikings are a much more complete team than the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think we're going to see the emergence of Jordan Mason absolutely explode in this game. I don't trust Carson Wentz for a minute, but I think the Minnesota Vikings are a much more complete team. I think we'll see the defense step up. I think that they will run all over Cincinnati. And if this defense is able to keep them in check and win the turnover battle, I think the Vikings can get this win. I don't feel great about this pick. And to be honest, I went back and forth on it. I wanted to have it on the card, though. This is going to be one that I'll be watching. So I'm going to hold my nose and ride with the Wentz wagon in the Minnesota Vikings -3 against the Cincinnati Bengals with life without Joe Burrow. So to conclude, Rams +3. I got it at 3.5, but 3 if you want to get it right now at even money. Vikings -3, Dallas -1, and San Fran -2.5 for me. Patty is on the Chargers. Green Bay, Chargers -2.5, Green Bay -7.5, Dallas -1, and Houston +1.5. Jake also with the Texans. He's taken +5 with Carolina, laying the 2.5 with the Niners, and then throwing in the New York Jets and Tyrod Taylor at +6.5. You guys want to just think about a partner parlay right now while we're on top of all these games? Obviously, we've got Dallas, which is a game that I think we can both throw in. Patty, I do like your Charger pick. I will admit to that. And I mean, obviously, you guys are both on the Texans +1.5, and we've also got San Francisco on a couple of plays. What are we thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm on both of your guys' Texans picks, and Haas, I'm on one of your other ones as well, Cowboys. So I would certainly be in okay with that. Jake, you mentioned that it wasn't on your card, but you considered it. I think it starts maybe with one of those there. I'm totally fine with Chargers. That's the one that I'm most confident with by far. So you don't have to twist my arm for that.
I think we go Texans +1.5. We'll take the point just in case. We'll go Cowboys on the money line, and then I think either we choose between. The only thing that worries me about the Chargers is that Broncos defense. Like Bo Nix, he needs to stop making some bonehead decisions, and like I think that team's going to clean it up. But the Chargers, I can't deny how good they've been early in the season. Or we go San Fran. I mean, Connor's a San Fran fan. Haas and I both on San Fran. We get the 2.5 too, which is a nice number.
I like that. San Fran was circled. I didn't end up taking it, but it was also circled on my card. So let's go with San Fran.
So we've got Dallas, and we'll just go money line with them being at -1. We will take the Niners -2.5, which is a nice number. Okay, this is going to come down for this final pick. We've got the Chargers, or we've got the Texans. Do we? I'll leave this to you guys because I know you're both on Houston and only Pat has the Chargers. There is a little bit of hesitance in me with what we've seen from the Texans on a short week to be backing them in the parlay on the road against anybody, as opposed to what we've seen for the Chargers, albeit also on a short week going up against Denver. What you guys discuss amongst yourselves, Chargers or Texans, along with Dallas and San Fran?
Jake, I like both. Obviously, they're both on my card. I mentioned how LA 14-4-1 against the spread since Harbaugh's taken over. I like the Chargers pick more. I know you like the Texans pick more, but both are on my card here. I think, Haas, maybe it's got to be you with the tie here. And I think you're leaning with the Chargers here at -2.5.
I mean, they the Texans, I mean, I looked at this game a little bit, and I don't think a lot of the Jacksonville Jaguars, to be honest. I mean, how they lost that game last week. Trevor Lawrence passed for 400 yards and 3 TDs and no picks, and they managed to lose. But I mean, listen, I can go. I mean, I will go with the crew. Jake, you have Houston on the card, and you do not have the Chargers on the card. I mean, just quickly, your thoughts on that Chargers Broncos game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of mentioned it already. Like, I think the Chargers, what they've shown so far in the season has been really impressive. I guess my concern is just like, Denver hasn't played their best football yet. Like, I think their defense has been solid, but I think the offense has been a little stagnant. And I mean, they're both divisional games, so, that kind of cancels out on both sides. I just think for me, the Texans are just a little bit more desperate here for a win. Like, you can't start the season 0-3 if you have, hopes of being a playoff team at the very least. So that's the thing for me, where it's like, the Jags, as solid as they've looked so far this season, they're 1-1. Where the Texans, if they go to 0-3, like I mentioned, we're talking about teams that don't make the playoffs, 3% rate of teams that make the playoffs since 1990. So for me, it's a must-win spot for the Texans, and that's why I'm just so high on them this week.
All right, well, let's do it. So we'll take Houston plus 1.5, San Fran minus 2.5, and Dallas money line. We'll cook that up. We will get a nice little boost and put it up for the people in the combo.
And listen, I'll put my hand up. If the Texans be the one to blow the parlay, I'll put my hand up and say, nope. I pounded the table for the Texans, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
CJ Stroud, time for a big game, and we'll the defense at times look good. That was a very winnable game for them too against Tampa.
Absolutely, the red zone offense has been atrocious.
Yeah,
atrocious.
Kaimi Fairbairn, put him in fantasy and get tons of field goals. It's nicely done. All right, so we've locked in our spread picks right now. Where we have been doing well is in the prop shop, and we've got our two favorite props each. Patty, where are you starting with the player props for the week?
As poorly as I felt I was seeing the board with the spreads, it was the flip side for props. My prop sheet couldn't be bigger this week. I had to cut it down a little bit, and we all know what that means. If that's my spread picks are going to be great, and the props aren't going to come here. But let's start things off with a guy that's been cashing prop tickets all season long with Bijan Robinson, over 84.5 rush yards. Week 1, though, only 24 yards on the ground, but he scooped up 100 yards through the air. Week 2, they finally decide, okay, we got to get this guy the rock. 143 yards on the ground, but still managed to pick up 25 receiving yards on 3 receptions. I think we see a heavy dose of Bijan through the air and on the ground this week because Carolina is absolutely horrendous at defending the run. Through the first 2 games of the season, they've given up 141 rushing yards per game, which is the 7th highest in the NFL. And this isn't just a this year problem, fellas. This was a big problem last year. They gave up a NFL high 175.7 rushing yards per game. The next highest was at 140.6. Also, Bijan loves going up against the Panthers. Last year, 130 yards averaging in those 2 games. I love the 84.5 rushing yards, but I also looked at his rushing and reception yards at 110.5. I think I'm leaning rush yards, but I also really like him for his combined yards. I feel like it's maybe a little bit of an insurance, but I'll go with the 84.5 just because I do think that the path to victory here is going to be on the ground against this Panthers team. I'm going to stay in the division for my second pick, and that's Baker Mayfield over 17.5 rushing yards. We know Baker normally gets it done with his arm, but he's also proven that he can make a big play with his legs as well. The line is set at 17.5, like I mentioned. He's gone over that number twice already this season, and in his last 10 games, he's cashed this over 7 times. The Jets gave up 59 yards against Josh Allen in week 2. They didn't give up any rushing yards in week 1, but they were going up against Aaron Rodgers, who only has 1 leg. I don't see Baker putting up the almost 60 rushing yards that we saw Josh Allen do. But let's go back to that game-winning drive. Baker breaks off that massive run on 3rd down to get the 1st down and more. Baker, he's got this in his arsenal in 2 runs. So give me Baker over 17.5 rushing yards. And then to finish off my prop card, it won't be an official play, but I've already put this up in the combo cards. I don't think it's live just yet. Huss, you talked about that ugly quarterback matchup with the Bengals and the Vikings. Both QBs in that game, Wentz and Browning to throw an interception, plus 161. I've boosted it up to plus 185.
Nicely done. The old double pick parlay from the same game.
We call that double trouble. We call that double trouble.
That's the game to do it in. Jakey, favorite two props?
Yeah, Huss, starting off with your guy. I mean, who was more scrutinized in week 2? You know, I love the storylines, guys on bounce back opportunities. Brian Thomas Jr. over 63.5 receiving yards. I mean, this guy had 12 targets in week 2. He caught only 4 balls. The guy dropped balls directly in his chest. It was an absolute nightmare week last week for Brian Thomas Jr. They lose the game to the Bengals, you know, with Jake Browning coming in. But I think this is one of those weeks where you come back and you say, okay, Brian, like, show us what you've got. I think he's going to get force-fed. He has 19 targets this season, Huss, and just 5 receptions. So he's going to have to start catching the ball. But, you know, you look at his previous games against the Texans last year, he had 6 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. In their first meeting, 4 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown in their second meeting. I think this is the Brian Thomas bounce back week. And if he has another rough week, I don't know. Brian Thomas fantasy owners are going to start to be sweating a little bit because it's starting to get ugly. 1 reception in week 1, 4 in week 2, and like a zillion drops. So yeah, we'll have to see how that one goes. But you know, I love the bounce back spots. The other one I've got, and you know, I'm kind of going off of what's happening in the league. Well, there's some injuries going on, and this is a game we've already touched on. But Aaron Jones is out for the Minnesota Vikings, and this was a quote from Kevin O'Connell heading into this week. I'm not sure we could have more confidence in Jordan, that's Jordan Mason, as a potential bell cow kind of back. This is going to be a 20-plus rush attempt week for Jordan Mason. I got him over 77.5 rush yards, and he's been the more impressive back simply in that backfield between him and Jones. And now that he's going to get lead back role, I think it's going to be a big, big week, especially to kind of, you know, shelter Carson Wentz so he's not gunslinging out there against Jake Browning. I think the less Carson Wentz has to pass the ball this week, the better it's going to be for the Minnesota Vikings. You know, you couple that with the injury to McCarthy. I think if Mason goes for 20 carries this week, his average is 4.1 yards per carry. That's 82 yards. So if he's around that 80-yard mark, we're going to hit this over at 77.5. So Jordan Mason over rush yards and Brian Thomas Jr. over receiving yards.
Now, guys, I know that this is only week 3 of the season of WST Winners. And obviously, we're going to have some overlap with our favorite spread picks. But for the first time, we have an overlap in a prop of all the players available. And I could not echo more of what you just said about Jordan Mason. It was the first bet I placed this week. The minute that I heard Aaron Jones was going to the IR, it was buy anything you can when it comes to Jordan Mason stock. I think he's going to have an absolutely monster game. And this is what fantasy owners were hoping for at some point this season was, let's see what Jordan Mason can do in that Minnesota offense as the guy. And you add in the fact that it's Carson Wentz behind center, and I think they're going to be more than happy to lean on the running game. I mean, I can tell you right now, let's just pull this up for those of you that want to get a little bit more into it. I mean, the Jordan Mason number is minus 114 on 77.5. 82.5, the over is plus 109. 87.5 is plus 133. So I do love that Coolbet now has a few more options if you do want to get more aggressive. I think it's going to be Jordan Mason all day. Love the over 77.5 rushing yards for this. And, you know, last week I had 2 pretty comfortable cashes on running backs with receiving yards. And that's where I'm going to go for my second play. And we're going to the Indianapolis game, and we're going to ride with their bell cow, Jonathan Taylor. Now, JT had 3 catches for 27 yards in the first game. He had 2 catches for 50 yards in the second game. The bottom line is when they scheme, play action, and go to Jonathan Taylor afterwards, he has the chance of blowing up a big play every time he has the ball, the football in his hands. And I think this is going to be a staple of their offense, considering how much he gets the ball in between the tackles to try to move him outside and change it up a little bit, but continue to get their football into his hands. And the fact that Tyler Warren's been questionable all week, I think increases the likelihood of him seeing a little bit more action through the air. I've actually bet this twice. The line that will go through for the picks is is 13.5. So 14 or more receiving yards. That's at minus 119. I've also bet this. I mean, you add just 5 yards to this, 18.5, and it's plus 141. But I'm comfortable with Jonathan Taylor over 13.5 receiving yards, along with Jordan Mason with the over 77 rushing yards, which I think puts us together for a pretty easy peasy. What do you guys think? I mean, Jake, obviously, I think we like the 77 with Jordan Mason. What do you guys think if we go Mason 77.5 rushing yards, Bijan over 84.5 rushing yards, and then the over 13.5 receiving yards for Taylor?
Good with me.
Patty?
Fine by me. Fine by me. I had Mason. I don't want any spoilers, but I got Mason on my card a little later.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, I think okay, I'm gonna need another guy then. But you know,
I didn't double down on Mason this week, so we're good there.
So we're gonna have Mason 77.5 rush, Bijan 84.5 rush, and JT 13.5 receiving yards. We'll get that up in the combo cards as well. All right, we've got to make a survivor pick, and first things first, house callers. Let's get some touchdowns. Patty, I have a feeling that a guy we just talked about is the guy that may be ending up on your card to get into the house.
I just, you guys laid it out so perfectly when it came to Mason. Like I wanted to get a piece of him. I actually had the rushing over circled, but then I wanted to see what I liked for a house caller's pick. And then when I saw his number and just thought any smart coach would not put the ball and their faith in Carson Wentz's hands in the red zone, they're going to put it into the hands of Mason. So give me Mason to find the end zone. Actually, I think his number might have moved. What is it right now, Jake?
141 for the.
Let me check for you.
Mason.
141.
Yeah.
Okay. I locked it in yesterday when it was down to like 133, I believe, but I did see it move this morning.
Hey, that's going to be, I bet that's minus 160 by the time this game kicks off. I think that I would bet, and here's a prediction. You guys can tell me next week on WST or on this program. I would bet that the touchdown prop for Jordan Mason might be top 3 played bet of the week at Coolbet. I mean, I think people are going to be all over this guy. And I think that number 77.5, check. Folks, 11:30 before, like half hour before kickoff, check what that number is. I'll bet it's into the 80s as well, which is why, I mean, if you do like him, you might want to take that extra juice or extra money and take it, into the 80s. But Mason at minus 141, a nice place to start the pool. Jake, what do you want to do for a house caller?
Yeah, I was looking at the board. Obviously, last week, I don't know, we didn't mention this off the top. I did hit DK Metcalf plus 164 last week.
Right
got us to the too. Sunday nighter.
Great pick.
I don't know. The Steelers looked ugly, but they found a way to get him in the end zone, so I was happy about that. Going a little bit more conservative this week. I got a guy minus 108 to score. He's 5th in the league in attempts so far this season. The team is not great, but I think this guy's bound to find the end zone sooner or later. I'm going Tony Pollard of the Tennessee Titans to find the end zone minus 108. So a couple running backs to start off our house callers card.
All right. Okay, so minus 108 for Tony Pollard. Big Tony Pollard guy. All right. Well, listen, I mean, I was thinking Mason, and I didn't mind that minus 141 number. So we've got to find another play. And considering this is a parlay, I will take some advice from you guys. I mean, staying in that game, I do think that Chase Brown is going to get a lot of action. He's at minus 120. I mean, that is certainly a thought in that game. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was the other guy that I would look at, but the number's minus 192. I mean, it's just such a chalky number that, I mean, I guess we could.
It's a parlay. It's a parlay. It'd be okay to do it. It's a parlay, man.
All right. Well, we actually will get a bit of a boost. Maybe that makes sense to it. Because, I mean, to me, he's as safe as we've got on the board right now to get
now, Huss, the other one that I circled, actually a better number than Taylor, which is surprising me now. I just looked at it. Josh Jacobs on like 11-game touchdown streak. They're playing the Browns this week.
Yeah, I saw
They plan to keep that rolling with the Packers. I know the only concern is if it's a blowout, he could come out of the game. So, I mean, I'm going to obviously let you decide at the end of the day, but I just wanted to see what his number was, minus 159, which I was honestly pretty surprising to me with JT at minus 192. But, yeah, totally up to you. I'm good with either way. It's a parlay, like Pat said.
He is pretty automatic. I mean, we've got the Mason minus 141, Pollard in. There's something about this. There's something about this game that just it's giving me a weird. Like, we expect Green Bay to go in and just absolutely smash Cleveland, and I mean, I get it. The Packers have looked so good, but there's the possibility of thing. I think I'm just gonna ride. Like, if you guys are cool with having a bit chalkier of a number, let's get a guy that's going to get in. And I don't know. I'd lean a little bit more to Taylor than Jacobs on the road, even though Jacobs, like Taylor, seems to get in each and every week.
Yep, I'm good with it.
All right. So JT, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, 3 running backs. That will be the house callers for the weekend. All right. One other thing we got to do is get our survivor pick in for the week. And full disclosure, I'm already through to week 4. I took the Bills last night, and I was a little nervous about that. But I will play another pick just for the sake of this, because obviously you can't pick a game that's already passed. But Pat, who have you taken so far, and who's your pick today?
So I have taken week 1. I took the Eagles, first game of the year, and then week 2
we all took the Ravens last week.
Yeah. Who did I take in week? Yeah, Ravens last week. And I'm going against the Browns again. Give me Green Bay. If I think they're going to cover the 8, that means I think they're going to win the game outright. So I'd be crazy not to bet them or not to take them on my survivor. So that's who I'm locking up with. Buccaneers were a thought, but Tyrod Taylor kind of got me shaking in my boots a little bit.
Cover machine.
The Bucs are my pick for this one, knowing that the Bills are already out. 6.5 point spread. I mean, I'm not taking them necessarily to cover, but as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, as long as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in their game, Baker's going to have something to say at the end. This game probably shouldn't be that close. If it is, though, I think that he gets it done. Tampa, a 6.5 point spread. I mean, if you look at the other games out there, you could take the Seahawks, and maybe this is a good spot to take the Seahawks against the New Orleans Saints. That being said, I really took the Bills already, so I'm in. But for the exercise of today, I'll go with Tampa on that pick. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, you just mentioned it, Huss. I'm taking Seattle this week. But I want to preface this by saying I am nervous. I saw this yesterday, came from Oddshark. We tweeted it out as well. At least one 5+ point favorite has lost outright in week 3 every year since 2016. So, I mean, if you're assuming, there's something in the water with week 3 and a big favorite losing outright, like I mentioned, the Bills, found a way to get it done last night, but that was looking a little sweaty there for a bit. There's 5 teams this week. And, if you assume that the trend will continue, one of these teams is bound to lose. The Falcons, they've been hovering around that 5 number. The Packers, we mentioned, the Bucks, the Seahawks, who I'm taking, and then your Chiefs Huss, who I think got to have it this week, obviously to 0-2 as well.
All right, so there you have it. We've lined it up. Now, the parlays, once again, you'll be checking those up in the Coolbet combo cards. Dallas money line, San Francisco -2.5, Houston +1.5. That'll be our against the spread parlay. Our prop parlay is going to be Jordan Mason over 77.5 rush, Bijan over 84.5 rush, and Jonathan Taylor over 13.5 receiving yards. And then our house callers will be Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, all to get into the end zone. And we'll throw those up right now. You know, one game that we did not touch on that I did actually want to get. I mean, I'm so out on the Steelers. I mean, I've locked them in. And
They're
killed
dead.
me yesterday.
They're so dead.
Like I was going through. I had screen capped all my bets because I can't access Coolbet in Missouri, and I'm at the Chiefs game in the tailgate, and the first games are just finishing up, and I'm like, okay, let's see. You know, I had a whole bunch of things, and I made a very, very cardinal sin mistake. I did this subconsciously. I had Pittsburgh with everything. I had like the loss of Pittsburgh when I went in and kind of realized all the different combos. That was a nuclear bomb on anything that had more than one team tied to it. So be careful. If you do like to kind of mix in and around a bunch of parlays, give yourself the opportunity that one game doesn't blow up the entire card, because that's what happened to me. But I was thinking about taking the Patriots +1.5. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they're an underdog considering what we saw from the Steelers last week.
And also, I mean, I know that.
Oh, sorry, Pat.
Sorry, go ahead, Jake. This is your squad. I do have a stat on that, though.
All good. I might have be saying the same stat. I heard on Pardon My Take on the way to the girlfriends here. It was the Steelers haven't won in New England since 2008. Like, for whatever reason, they go to New England and they struggle. So, yeah, I mean, listen, obviously I rarely put my own team on my card. But yeah, it's hard to back the Steelers right now, especially the mental mistakes. Like, this is not what you usually see from a Mike Tomlin team. At the very least, they're structured, but that Caleb Johnson kick return into the end zone after he touches it and the Seahawks recover for a touchdown. I don't know if you saw that, Huss, because you were in KC. Absolute nightmare fuel. So, yeah, pretty gross one.
I did see that, and all I could think of is that if you thought, oh, this is one of these young rookies, I'm going to take him, he's going to help me. I don't know whether he sees the field again for Mike Tomlin. Like, he's going to be in the outhouse for half the season after that play. Should be listen, this is going to be a fun one tonight. The fun one this week. My Chiefs got to get a win. I'm not touching that for the spread. I mean, they have got a knack for doing it. And by the way, one other prop that you can check out, like right now without the receivers, Mahomes is seemingly needing to do it all himself. I mean, what a crazy thought that Patrick Mahomes is leading quarterbacks in rushing right now. Like, that's not the way that it's supposed to be. But he understands what they need from him right now to move the football. His rushing total is now up to 29.5. But I'd be surprised if he didn't go for over 30 just based on what we've seen so far, unless maybe they get Worthy back, which will be nice. Couple things to note. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys are having some fun. Hey, waiters, don't I owe you a WST hoodie? Let me know. Hit me up. I'll hook you up with that. Boys, we've got poker on Wednesday, and we'll be throwing it up. Jake did a great job of like a landing page and some stuff, so it'll be simple for people to find out, but mark that down. We've got a series of Wednesday night games. Jets almost never play on Wednesday. Middle of the week, 8 p.m. We're going to do the first one on this Wednesday. So hopefully you guys can play with us. And we're working on maybe a couple other kind of door prizes, not necessarily based on what you perform, but just for participating. We'll work on that. We'll let you know what's up on
I'll announce it here. And for every person... And for every person that joins these WST poker events, your name will go into a draw, whether it's for Jets tickets or Bombers tickets. This first one here, it will be your name will get entered into a draw for Blue Bombers tickets. So throughout the entire WST series, you could be a winner without even winning a single hand in the tournament. As long as you sign up, as long as you play, you get your name into that draw, and we'll pull names the next day on WST, and you could find yourself going to a Bombers or a Jets game.
Yeah, perfect. We'll get that set up. And obviously with the season getting going, I can't believe that there's a freaking exhibition game on Sunday night.
Nuts.
One that hopefully will be a bunch of guys that are going elsewhere, because I'm going to be locked in on that Chiefs-Giants game, to be honest. The preseason can wait a little bit. We'll record that one and watch it later on. But, hey, should be a great weekend. Just quickly on the way out, Patty, by the way, heartbroken for you and that Notre Dame game last week. I was in a bar in Kansas City watching it. I'm like, I cannot believe the way that went down. Heartbreaker, but a hell of a football game. It looked like, just an unbelievable atmosphere. Bucket list for people that love college football. Did you guys cook anything up for the CFB slate tomorrow that you want to let people know about?
Not yet, but we will have it. I think Jake was being quite kind and wasn't too sure how much I really wanted to talk college football this week, but I've licked my wounds. We're on to this week. Big Cat from Barstool's got me already believing back in the Irish. He says they're in the exact same scenario after 3 games when they lost to NIU last year, and they still found their way in a championship. They're 2 losses, but to 2 teams that are probably going to be in the college football playoff. You win out, you take care of business, and who knows what happens. So
perfect.
Patty and I had a real close last week. We do I think we missed week 2, but we do a weekly teaser in college football. So yeah, we'll text offline here and get something going. The other thing I was going to ask Huss, I know we already got 3 parlays set up, but we do have 3 different survivor picks. Do you want to do like it'll be a huge boost, but the Bucs, Seahawks, and Packers all to win was plus 103. Like we could probably get it up to the plus 120 range, plus 125, and have that going as well. A survivor picks parlay.
Love that.
Please do that. Let's laugh in the face of history with one of these $6 winning.
Yeah.
I will max that sucker out if you can throw it up. So yeah, the survivor combo. Let's throw that in. Shout out to everybody in chat. Connor and I are going to be heading down to the Hockey for All Center right away. WST is going to be live at 1:00. We got a massive show today. Rennie's going to pop on. We'll have Murat join us live. Hammer from Ottawa before the Bomber game tomorrow. Kyle Ball here from the Jets going to come by, tee up Fan Fest and the home opening weekend. Hacksaw with the NFL Notebook, Marbles. It's all coming up at 1 p.m. live from Winnipeg Jet Training Camp. And don't forget, we are going to do a special show tomorrow live from Fan Fest right after Illegal Curve finishes up. So if you are coming out to Winnipeg Jet Fan Fest, make sure to pop by and say hi. Patty, Jake, thanks so much. And a big shout out to Connor Rabchak for making it all happen. I know he's on the Niners, and he will support our Niners minus 2.5 play against the Cardinals and the Uber drivers that are going to be playing cornerback for them this week. Fellas, have a great weekend. Good luck to everyone with your wagers. Again, if you haven't played a Coolbet, what are you waiting for? Use the promo code WST. We'll double your first deposit up to $200. And save a little bit for Wednesday night's WST Poker Night, which we hope you'll join us as well. You'll be able to find more information on the landing page, which we'll put out on all of our socials. For Jake Bolin Moss, Pat Gregoire, Connor Rabchak, I'm Andrew Paterson. Good luck with the bets this week, and we'll see you next Friday, 10 a.m., all NFL season long for WST Winners right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. We'll see you at the rink.